Gurave Gaurachandaya Radhikaya Tadadi Krishna Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhakta Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Akila Rasamrita Bhati Prasimara Ruchi Vidatara Katala. Kvarito Shamalito Radha Pray and Vidur Verti. So reading from Bhakti Saraswamrita Sindhu Eastern section, second wave, Sadhana Bhakti. So Varnashram has been described, and so the karma is not an end of bhakti. And so at the same time, if Krishna is in the center, that so one has to perform one's duty, so that may be accepted as bhakti then. So ultimately it is a matter of the consciousness. If one is fully engaged in devotional service by his sadhana, chanting the Maha Mantra, worshipping the deities at home, reading the scriptures and hearing, and then he may have some occupation. And so, but if Krishna is in the center, that will not be detrimental to his devotional service. Of course, the activity he is doing that will have some influence. If one is engaged in Brahminical activities, he can focus on Krishna completely. If one is doing some business, if he's using his time properly, engaging others also in the business, then he may also be devoted to the Lord, and it may not be detrimental. If one is having his own company and he has different people working for him also, and then so he may just spend a little time in the company and full time in devotional service. Like Ambarish Maharaj, he was the emperor, so he had to take care of the whole kingdom, and so he got married also. He had 20 wives, so not easy to take care. Even to take care of one wife is not easy in the age of Kali, but still he managed, and he was fully absorbed. He was worshipping the deities in the morning.
So why did he have wives if he was fully absorbed?
And then the last wife was very devoted, and she also wanted to worship the deities. And then he made a temple for his wife, last wife, and then the other wives also wanted. And then they all became Vaishnavis. But that is of course rare. That is rare. Usually one is engaged in some occupation, 8-9 hours doing a job or something, or as his business, but is struggling, then he may not be able to be engaged in pure devotional service. But if one is fortunate enough, is intelligent, in a mode of goodness, then he may be engaged in pure devotional service. So, and doing his occupation also, but Krishna is in the center. Yatha Chai Kadase. In the 11th canto it is explained. Tava karmani kurvita nanya vidyeta yavata matkata shavanado vav shadha yavana jayate. One should continue to perform the daily and periodic Varna Ashram activities unless one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification and develops faith for hearing and chanting about me. So, purport by Jiva Goswami. This verse explains the circumstances in which the performance of Varna Ashram is applicable. Because one should perform Varna Ashram duties until one reaches detachment from enjoyment and develops faith in bhakti. Directions are given to engage in Varna Ashram. So, and we can see practically also, and Prabhupada has explained. So he gave all the principles of bhakti, of pure bhakti, chanting holy names, worshipping the deities, Panchmahatvapurna Ang, in the association of the devotees always, hearing Bhagavatam. So in this way, so Prabhupada engaged the devotees. But then he saw that, of course, he had brahmacharis, and then he made some sannyasis. He ordered sannyas to some brahmacharis. And then, so the ladies, they also, because to start a movement, and so he made arrangement for them to also stay in ashram. Of course, man one side, women another side. But then, because it is not easy to be single, man needs a woman, woman needs a man, generally speaking. So then he got them married also, some of them, or many of them, more and more. And then he saw that not everyone can remain brahmachari, and even sannyasis, they had difficulties to remain sannyasi. And so therefore he also mentioned towards the end of his life that we have to establish one ashram. Not only for the common man, but for the society also, for the devotees also. Because to be engaged in pure devotional service, that only very few can do. Anyavidashita sunyam jnana karma nagritam anukulina Krishna vishidanam bhakti uttaman. Not so easily achieved, pure devotional service, uttam bhakti. And therefore one has to be engaged according to Varna Ashram as much as possible, but keeping Krishna in the center. The verse spoken by Parashad thus means that because Vishnu is worshipped by a person who follows Varna Ashram duties, that path and no order is satisfying to Vishnu. This of course refers to a person with no faith in bhakti. But Parashad also says, Sahanistan machchidram samoha sacha vibrama yan muhurtam kshanam vapi vasudevam nakirtayat. Even for a moment the remembrance of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is missed. It is the greatest loss. It is the greatest fault, the greatest illusion, and the greatest anomaly. So what is our situation? You always remember Krishna? You? No? So one moment, if you don't remember Krishna or Vishnu, that is the greatest loss. You have money? You have money? You have money, little money? If you lose it, no problem. But if you don't remember Krishna, that is a problem. So that is a fault if you don't remember Krishna.
We do remember Krishna. I mean, we do, we chant.
Yeah.
Then we have Gayatris, then we have pictures everywhere, temples everywhere. I mean, we are very lucky here.
We are lucky here.
In one way.
In one way, but the other way we see also Maya is there, right?
Maya. Yeah.
Yeah, So, but this verse is there, so we understand. Oh my God, that's I'm not remember Krishna every moment.
Yeah.
That is a loss. That is a fault. That is an illusion. That is anomaly. You know anomaly? What is anomaly? You know?
विवाह टूटने के बाद जो देते हैं
No. Anomaly.
like a
It is not normal. It is not normal. Not normal. Anomaly. It is normal to remember Krishna always. If you don't remember Krishna always, that is not normal. Okay? Smartavya satatam Vishnu, Vismartavya rajatachit, Vidi nisheda sura eta yoreva kinkara. Many mosquitoes here today, huh?
yes
Open door today? You invited the mosquitoes today? Okay.
they're already inside the point
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The commentary says Karmani means daily and periodic duties of Varnashram. The scripture says Shruti Smriti Mamai Vagye Yaste Olangya Vartate Agya Chedi Mamadreshi Madbhakto Pina Vaishnavaha. Whoever disregards the Shruti and Smriti scriptures that are mine and breaks the rules is a breaker of my order, a hater of me. Even if he's my devotee, he's not a Vaishnava. However, this does not apply to the devotee because the devotee is following another order. He breaks the first order to perform Varna Ashram only because he's following another order of the Lord which is based on detachment from material enjoyment and faith in bhakti. So the main thing is that we should always be engaged in devotional service. And Varna Ashram is secondary. At the same time, if one is a householder, then means one has some duties to perform as a householder and one has to have some occupation to take care of the family. Something has to be done. But again, so if one is engaged in brahminical activities, he can depend more on Krishna. It is easier to be absorbed in Krishna. Text 248. Jnana vairagyayor bhakti praveshayopayogita ishat prathamam eveti nangatvam uchitam tayo. Translation: Jnana and Vairagya are suitable for entering bhakti, being somewhat useful in the beginning of bhakti, but they are not considered angas of bhakti. So Jnana and Vairagya are important. So we have to acquire some knowledge, and Vairagya has to be there to become detached from this material world. And then we may enter into bhakti, the path of bhakti. So, but they are not angas of bhakti. So, at the same time, if you get transcendental knowledge in regards to Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, Prayojan Gyan, so that is also part of bhakti. Because if you don't have knowledge, then how you can, if you don't know what is pure devotional service, how you can engage in pure devotional service? Right. What is pure devotional service? You can say?
Raganuga Bhakti is pure devotional.
Anyabhilashita Shanyam Jnana Karmana. There you go, sadhu, sadhu.
So one fish look I always remember.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
this is the Bhakti sloka.
Yeah.
Samrita Sindhu which we are reading almost every
Yeah.
day with Gurudev.
And then of course, yeah, there is, for example, also Raganuga Bhakti, so that is for the devotees who are worshipping Krishna in Braj, or devotees of Mahaprabhu. They perform Raganuga Bhakti, and that may be considered a pure devotional service. Whereas the others, they are worshipping Vishnu, they have Aishwarya Gyan in regards to Vishnu. That is also pure devotional service, but it's Aishwarya Yukt. It is with some own reverence that Vishnu is the Lord and the servant. Whereas in Braj, it is Madhurya. Madhurya Yukt. It is imbued with Madhurya, with sweetness. Because one sees Krishna as one's Prananath, the Lord of our life. Even so much so that one will forget or will not be aware that Krishna is God. But in the beginning, when we perform devotional service, sadhana bhakti, we have to first know that Krishna is God and we are not his body. And then we can slowly but surely, after when we are more better situated, then we can forget that Krishna is God. And naturally it will come if one is more advanced. One is still knowing that Krishna is God. You know that Krishna is God? You know?
शास्त्र में पढ़ा आपसे सुन
Achha, you heard, huh? That is God.
Yes.
And believe? You believe that Krishna is God? Okay, good. You believe?
Yes, sir.
You? Of course, okay. You? Okay.
He's trying to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's kind
Yeah.
See, confirm.
So we believe that Krishna is God. But if one is then engaged in devotional service after some time, okay, Krishna is God, it's okay. But we love Krishna as our best friend. And then we want to forget that Krishna is God. When one is a little more advanced. Krishna is God is okay, but he's my best friend also. So when one is more purified in consciousness, then one will develop this loving relationship with Krishna. Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. And then, okay, we know Krishna is God, but still, and we offer obeisances to the deity also. When we see the deities at the same time, then we have some also feeling which are more intimate, that Krishna is my friend. So then the spontaneous aspect will come. And then if one is internally absorbed, then one will be only seeing Krishna as one's friend, one's beloved. One is in Antaradasha, which is not easy to come. Antaradasha, you know? You know Antaradasha?
Yesterday you told me
Yesterday I
about
told you.
Mahaprabhu in Antardasha.
Yeah.
and Bharat.
You are in Antardasha sometimes?
Yes, when you
Very
invite
far.
Gurudev.
No, that is in
When I am sleeping.
sleeping avastha. That is not Antardasha.
But in one sense we can say Gurudev it is Antardasha.
No,
because-
Antardasha means one is absorbed with Krishna. If
Chalta
you're
hai
sleeping, you are in illusion. You don't know what's going on.
But if
But there's, of course, there's. So, but if one is highly advanced, even when he's sleeping, then he may remember Krishna. But if one is during the day, if one is not remembering Krishna, then how he can remember Krishna at night?
Sometime at
He's
night.
an illusion during the day and at night also. The day
Sometime at
dreaming.
night he say some things
What
while
is he
sleeping.
saying? While sleeping, he's saying something. What is he saying? Krishna, Krishna?
No,
What is he saying?
to somebody, you have to do this like
Acha.
this. I am going here somewhere.
One
Okay.
day he was selling oil in the drink.
How is saying oil in the dream? Okay. Okay.
One time like Arjun sleeping and who heard the name Krishna, Krishna, Krishna?
Yeah, pure devotees remember Krishna when he's doing
Yudhishthir.
the Brijvasis. So they remember Krishna and Braj. So Yudhishthir, Arjun, so they are pure devotees, but they have some Aishwarya Bhav also. Krishna is the Lord. But in Braj, they don't have this mood that Krishna is the Lord. So here, Jiva Goswami's commentary, Gyan here refers to realization of Tvam Padartha Jiv, Tat Padartha Brahman, and finally realization of their oneness, Tat Tvam Asi. This is called Brahma Gyan, consisting of 3 stages. So this is Brahma. So this one here refers to Brahma Gyan. That means the Mayavadis or Brahmavadis. We are soul, and there's the absolute truth, the Brahma Jyoti, and we want to merge in that. Tattvamasi, you are that. So these are the Mayavadis and Brahmavadis. So this is also spiritual knowledge, but it is not pure knowledge. It is not complete knowledge. So that one is not at all useful for bhakti. The word Ishat somewhat means that the knowledge of Jiva and Brahman are useful, but realization of oneness should be rejected. Vairagya in the verse means a type of renunciation that is useful only for Brahma Gyan. That part of Vairagya which is contrary to Bhakti should also be rejected. That is the meaning of Ishat in relation to Vairagya. Gyan and Vairagya are somewhat useful only in the beginning of Bhakti. That means that they are suitable only at the stage of giving up attachment to other objects. When attachments have been given up and a person begins practicing Bhakti, Gyan and Vairagya become insignificant. Also after beginning Bhakti, thinking with these processes will distract a person from Bhakti. Thus they are useful only in the very beginning of Bhakti. So, but again here we have to clarify that refers to this Brahma Gyan. But spiritual knowledge is important. And if you engage in devotional service that we know we are the servant of Krishna, then Vairagya is important also. Like you take prasad, but you have to be controlled, right? You have to be controlled, not to eat all day. Breakfast, something after breakfast, lunch and dinner, in between something also. More eating than service. So that will not help. So we have to be somewhat detached also, even when we engage in devotional service. And so we have to be more absorbed in devotional service than the external necessities of the body. And we need some facilities, we have to have a place to stay, we need some clothes, dhoti, 2-3 dhoti, right? So, but not that you have looking for the fancy dhoti and you need a fancy watch, fancy mobile.
What's wrong with fancy mobile?
So, but you should be simple as much as possible. Of course, if you're getting, then it's something else. If you're a priest, you're getting all the time some clothes. But then if you get, then you give to others also. Sometimes beggars are coming, and then I give them some clothes. So we're getting and then we give it. Even it is mentioned in regards to Mahaprabhu's appearance on today, Jagannath Mishra festival. So when the Lord appeared, Nimai, that many people came. And they were so attracted to small little Nimai, because actually he's the Supreme Lord. They didn't know, but the Lord is very attractive. If one is open-minded, pious, then one will appreciate. And because Jagannath Mishra was a Brahmana, so therefore many persons came and we gave some gifts to Jagannath Mishra and for the child also. And then he didn't just keep everything, but he was distributing to other people who came. Okay, here, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. He was giving in charity. So that is a Brahmana. So he's worshipping the Lord, he's performing sacrifices for others also. He's studying and he's teaching and he's getting some donation and he's giving also. So, yes, so we have to get transcendental knowledge also in regards to devotional service. And then one has to try to become detached from this world. So it is not easy to become detached, right? So, to focus on Krishna only. So then even we have, of course, brahmacharis or sannyasis even. So they're trying to be fully absorbed, and no connection with women, but at the same time, sometimes you see brahmacharis also, they like to talk to ladies, and then, but sometimes they have difficulties. So we have to be restricted in that sense also. Of course, preaching has to be there, and then distributing books, and then we may, brahmachari may have to speak to ladies, but at the same time we should keep it short and not speak too much. So this very subtle thing that sometimes one will get carried away, the brahmacharis, or sometimes sannyasis are getting carried away. So that we have seen even in our society, many sannyasis, that difficulty, and they fell victim to the opposite sex because of talking with them, and woman is like fire in this sense, and the man is like butter, is melting. So one has to be careful. And so one has to try to control the mind and the senses and withdraw the senses from the sense objects as much as possible. And that is not easy. But at least one has to try, and one has to pray for the help of Guru Gauranga and Krishna, so we can remain strong and remain fixed and not diverted. So Bhagavad Gita is a sloka also. Second chapter, 41, Vyavasatmika Buddhi, Ekaha Guru Nandana, Dhaya or something. Yeah, what is the meaning? So one has to be Eka Guru Nandana, one has to be fixed, one-pointed at the lotus feet of the Lord. And if the mind and senses are going here and there, then one cannot progress much. So some vairagya has to be there, but it should not be artificial. So that will also not help. So that one has to do some endeavor has to be there. And one has to acquire knowledge. And then if one has knowledge, then it's easier with the sword of knowledge, one can cut the attachment to this world. So one must have knowledge. Senses are going here and there with intelligence. No, don't go there, my dear sense or mind and the senses. So the eyes are there, the ears. So brahmachari walking and the girl is passing by, all very beautiful. The eye is going there, and then not the eye is going, but the seeing is going there, and the mind is going there also. And then second chapter, text 62, 63. By contemplating the objects of the senses, one becomes attached. And then yes. So then one will desire, oh, okay, beautiful woman. And then, but he cannot get. And then, so the calm, so he wants, but he cannot get, and then what is happening? Growth, he becomes angry because he cannot get it. And so then he falls from the spirit platform to the material platform. So we need knowledge, that is important, but spiritual knowledge, what to do, what not to do, and one has to practice detachment. You have to practice. Even householder has to practice detachment, and then he can become vanaprast. Or if he's qualified, if he's very knowledgeable, he may enter the sannyasa ashram.
Question.
Yes.
When your household, you're practicing detachment from who exactly?
From who? Well, I mean, in the beginning it is okay if you're a householder, you get just married. And then you have the house, you have the wife and family, and the children are coming. and then that is okay. But later on, when you're 50 or so, then some detachment should be there, in the sense that one will try to be more absorbed in spiritual activities, and then, for example, not supposed to have any intimate connection anymore with the wife, and the children are growing up, and then they should stand on their own feet, and the father should, or the mother, saying they should not just be always thinking about the children and how they're doing, but they should focus more on the Lord. In this way, then one has to practice detachment. So the grihastha is when he's getting older, not in the beginning, of course.
So you're talking about physical detachment, but not emotional, because how
Yeah.
can you cut emotional?
Right,
Together
right.
for
No, yes,
Okay.
yeah. More physical,
Okay.
and of course emotional still there, but at the same time, even there should be more than focused towards Krishna. But before,
mentally also.
yeah, mentally also, ultimately then you have to become also detached a little bit emotional also. And of course you take care of the wife and of the needs, but then it's supposed to be vanaprasthashram. For example, grihastha has to listen to the wife. Otherwise,
What does
Married
it mean,
life-
listen to the wife?
when the wife is saying something, okay, I need this and this, and then okay, yes,
People
yes.
should
Okay,
discuss
you this.
two things.
Yeah, we discuss, but at the same time, then many times then, okay, maybe the wife, okay, do this, and then the husband has to say yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Right.
But if he says always no, no, then the wife will not be so happy, and then married life cannot go on. There's a Bengali saying, Prabhupada quoted, that if the husband is always doing what the wife is saying, then he's considered to be handpacked. Oh, look, he's handpacked. He's always doing what the wife is saying. And then the second line says, but if the husband is not doing what the wife is saying, then the married life cannot go on. So in this way, he has to listen more to the wife in the beginning. But once he's getting older, and then he should be more devoted to the Lord, and then the wife should not demand too much from the husband, especially then vanaprast. You go to the forest. Vanaprast means vanprasthan, going to the forest, and then just having a small cottage. Then she cannot say every second, third day, I need this, I need a new sari, I need this, I need that. She cannot say. She should understand. Now I have to be more renounced also. She has to be more renounced and let the husband serve the Lord, perform bhajan, and she can do some assistance in a menial way. So like this, but when they're in the household, the children are there and family members and this, she can. So many times the wife is the boss at home and the husband just will do what the wife is saying. But of course he's the boss also from one point of view. So it is a kind of, emotional exchanges there, and one and both have to be in a mood that we are here to serve Krishna together, and so the wife is serving the husband and the husband is serving the wife, like that. So that is the situation. It's of course very complex, and we can talk for hours and days about this, but anyway, we just keep in short, and just for the understanding, the point is that we have to acquire knowledge, jnana, and vairagya has to be there also. So for the grihasthas also in the later stage. And yes, also even, but we should understand that household life is not a license for sanskarification. It is there because one is not able to be so rigid in terms of not talking to women, having no association with women. If one cannot do that, then one may get married, but then one has to also follow the rules and the regulations and not just be engaged in sanskarification. So sanskarification is there, but it has to be restricted to some point. So that we have to understand. So for those who are brahmanically inclined, it is more easy. But then, for example, those who are not so brahmanical, for them it may be more difficult, because for them sanskarification is important and they cannot They cannot not engage in such purification in various ways, eating or whatever, or in connection to the wife. So that we have to understand. So therefore one has to be in the mode of goodness, so for householders also. Then one can advance more. And the brahmacharis anyhow, they should be in the mode of goodness, otherwise how we can be brahmacharis, and the sannyasis also. But then even for vanaprastha, then one has to try to see that one can be in the mode of goodness as much as possible. So the point is that jnana and vairagya is there for the mayavadis or brahmavadis, and ultimately that will not be helpful for perfection. Because even the mayavadis and brahmavadis, if they attain their perfection which they desire, then is to merge into the impersonal Brahman, but that is not ultimate perfection. So what is the use? The Bada Jeev has come from there and then he will go back there and not engage in Krishna Seva. What is the use? No use ultimately. So but then for the devotees, so in the beginning they come to know something about devotional service, they engage in devotional service, they have to learn more. They have to get spiritual knowledge and then have to practice some detachment also. That is the point. Okay? Right? Text 249. Yadube chitta katinya hetu praya satammate sukumara sabhave yam bhaktistadde tur irita. Because jnana and vairagya generally make the heart harsh. Because jnana and vairagya make the heart harsh, the authoritative devotees have concluded that bhakti alone, whose nature is very tender, is the cause of entering into bhakti. So that is an important point also here. Sometimes even devotees, they try to do great austerities. So some austerity has to be done, but we should not do too much, otherwise the heart may become hard. Okay, perform chaturmas. And we eat only once a day. I will not take any sweets. And I will sleep only 5 hours. I will sleep on the ground. So some rules may be there. But so, if one is not highly advanced, then he will not be satisfied. His heart will become hard and he will become angry, irritated. And then what is the use? That is the point. So, but bhakti is very tender, bhakti is soft, bhakti is sweet. So therefore, we acquire some knowledge and we try to be renounced to some extent, but we don't have to perform great austerities. Of course, if one is younger, then one may do more, but if one is getting older, then anyhow it's difficult. But of course some can do longer. So but the main thing is that we have to engage in devotional service, bhakti, for the pleasure of the Lord. Jiva Goswami's commentary. This verse speaks of another fault in being attached to jnana bhakti. They cause hardness in the heart. In jnana, one must deliberate on the truth by defeating a variety of other philosophies, and in vairagya, one must renounce enjoyment by repeated toleration of suffering. The very nature of this practice is harsh or unpleasant, and thus the heart becomes similarly harsh. This is the opposite of sweetness and softness of the heart. So if one likes sweets and then is making a vow, okay, no sweets, then sometimes doctor is saying don't take sweets. But then it's difficult if one likes sweets. If one doesn't like sweets, then no problem. But if one likes sweets and there are no sweets, then a little difficult, yeah?
Most of the people like sweet.
Huh? Most people like sweets. Yeah. Because everyone wants to be sweet. And yeah, by nature everyone is sweet. By nature everyone is a devotee of Krishna. By nature Krishna is sweet, right? Adaram Madaram Vadaram Madaram Nayanam Madaram Hasita Madaram Hridam Madaram Gamanam Madaram Madhurade Patera Kilam Madaram. So everything about Krishna is sweet. His face, his lips, his heart, his walking, and then his sleeping, his eating, whatever Krishna is doing is sweet. And so Krishna also likes sweets. And so the devotees, they are attracted to Krishna. It's the embodiment of sweetness. And then there's a sweet exchange with Krishna. And so the devotees are also sweet. But how can a person enter higher and higher stages of bhakti without some sort of assistance? The answer is given. Bhakti is said to be the cause of entering bhakti, and previous acts of bhakti alone are the causes of entering into higher stages of bhakti. So by performing bhakti, even though in the beginning it may not be pure, but by engaging in bhakti, after some time it becomes pure. So in the beginning sin, still some desire for sense purification may be there, some desire for name, fame and glory. The same old story. That might be there, but by engaging in devotional service, slowly but surely one becomes free. But bhakti also will become a cause of hardening of the heart, since perfection can be reached only by effort. The answer is given. This bhakti, by its very nature, is extremely tender, because it consists only of thinking of the Lord's sweet form, qualities and pastimes. Therefore, the conclusion is that bhakti should be performed with the desire to make the heart melt in relation to the Lord. The distinguished devotee Prahlad has stated with emphasis from the 7th canto. Naite guna nagunino mahata dayeye sarve mana prabhiritta sadeva matya adyantavanta urugaya vedanti hitvam evam vimarishya sudiyo viramanti sabda tate rattama namastuti karma pujaha karma smitish charanaya savanam kataya samsevaya tvayi viniti sadangaya kim bhaktim jana paramahamsa gatav labheta. Neither the three modes of material nature, nor the predominating deities controlling these three modes, nor the 5 gross elements, nor the mind, nor the demigods, nor the human beings can understand your lordship, for they are all subjected to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the spiritually advanced have taken to devotional service. Such wise men hardly bother with Vedic study. Instead, they engage themselves in practical devotional service. Therefore, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all persons, to whom prayers are offered without rendering 6 kinds of devotional service unto you. So 6 kinds of devotional service. 1, offering obeisances to you. 2nd, prayers, menial service for deity worship. 5th, remembering your pastimes. And 6th, hearing about your glories. So if one is not doing this, then who can achieve devotion to you, the goal of the Paramahamsas? So we should see that every day we can do these activities. So every day we go to the temple, offer obeisances, we pray, offer some prayers. What prayer you offer when you see the deities in the temple? When you see Gonitai, what do you say? No, not here at temple.
जो यहाँ पे महाप्रभु को वर्शिप
Okay,
करते हैं
yes,
सब
so-
मंत्र बोलते हैं
So what mantra? I'm asking you, what mantra?
अनर्पितचरित्य रामकरुण्या तीर्णो कलो समर्पयितुं उन्नतोज्ज्वल संशयं सर्वभक्ति श्रेयं हरिपुराट सुंदर ज्योति कदम्ब संदीप्ते सदारिते कंदरे स्फुरिता वसच्चिदानंद
Okay, good.
नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौर कृष्ण नित्यानंद नमो शुद्धं प्रेमानंद प्रदायिनी कलो पद्मसनासाय जन्मपतये पंचतात्मात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपसर्वं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तिशक्तिकम् अजानुलंबितं भुजगं
Good.
विश्वम्भरो दिव्यम्बरे धर्मपालो वंदे जगत्प्रियतम अवतारो वंदे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद स्वामी गौर चित्र संततम
Okay, very good. Sadhu, sadhu.
कृष्ण वंदे कृष्ण संगो पांगस्त पासदम यज्ञ संकीर्तने प्रयोजनते सुमे
Okay, this is the last you learned, right? In Mayapur. Okay, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. You? What do you chant?
Only two one.
Only two. Okay, which one?
First.
First?
नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतमसिनो पंचतत्वकं कृष्ण भक्तरूप समरूपं भक्ततारं भक्तप्रियं
Okay,
नमामि
good.
भक्तिसागरं।
Okay. And you, what do you chant in front of Gonita? What?
गुरुवे गौरचंद्र
What? Gurave Gauru Chandraya? Okay, that's okay also. Simple for the simple. And you?
No.
Nama Mahavadanyaya. And you? What?
Same.
Same
Two
what
mantra.
same? Nama
Same what like
Mahavadanyaya?
Pradeep or same?
No, just for this.
What he said. Nama Mahavadanyaya. And Panchatatvakam Krishnam. Okay, yeah, good. So we should offer some prayers. And menial seva. We should do some menial seva. So every day you do seva, right? Little seva at home, here, or in temple also. Okay, good. So deity worship. Once a week?
Yes.
You 3 times a week? Okay, and you're cooking every day, huh? Okay, good. And you? Nothing. You need deities, right?
I chant 64 every day.
Okay, good.
Chill, chill, chill.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
nice.
waiting. I'm waiting for my.
You're waiting for some chilas, Govardhan chilas. Yeah, they're waiting for you also. They're waiting for you. Huh, what?
What means I'm waiting?
Yeah, you're ready for them?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Okay, so. Yeah, so then there's a process of deity worship also that we have to learn. And then we have for prayers. So then remembering the past times, that when we hear, then we can remember. If we don't hear, then how we can remember? So therefore, some knowledge we have to inquire. What is Krishna doing? He's playing the flute. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What is he doing at
Guy
4 o'clock in the afternoon?
coming back.
Coming back from the pasturing grounds. Yeah. So we should know something about Krishna. What dhoti is wearing?
Hello.
Yellow. What he likes to eat?
Chiku.
Chiku fruit. And what else?
Sweet.
Sweet. What sweet?
Rasmalai.
Rasmalai for the Bengalis.
Rasal.
Manwa laddu. And jalebi.
Sandesh.
No, that's for
Sandesh
the
Mahaprabhu.
Bengali sweet. But still he likes also. But he's more from Mahaprabhu in Bengal.
Daima.
Rabri.
Oh.
Sweet rice.
Makhan.
Halwa.
Makhan.
Makhan mishri.
Yes.
So we should know what Krishna likes, then we can offer. So, but most important is also the love. If you just offer some sweet rice, but you're angry at somebody, okay, making sweet rice on this person is not nice, and then Krishna will also not accept that. So the bhav should be there. The love should be there. Sweetness should be there. We should be sweet with everyone. Nice relationship, right? You like your brother? You like your brother? He's sweet? Sweet boy? Sometimes becoming angry also, huh? The other day I was downstairs and hearing, well, where's the milk? Hearing from downstairs, trying to jump at 10 o'clock at night. Maybe 4 or 5 days ago. But still, otherwise he's sweet. You're a good sister? She's very sweet, huh? And she's cooking very sweet. Nice. And his sweet boy also here, huh? Mukund Deshwar. And Pradeep, he is very sweet. He is very sweet.
And Gopal.
And Gopal also.
Too much sweet. Too much sweet.
Too much sweet. Radha Priya Thakurani also very sweet.
Also sweet.
So those who are sweet, they like to be with those who are sweet. So then remembering past times and hearing about the glories of the Lord. In the second verse quoted, the word karma, namastuti karma puja, refers to paricharya, treating the Lord as a king. So paricharya also means deity worship. So karma, so here karma is mentioned, but then it says namastuti karma puja. Namaha means offering obeisances, stuti prayers. Karma means activity, so that becomes devotional service if it is to the Lord. Puja means the worship of the Lord. So here treating the Lord as a king. When you worship the deities in the temple, so some Aishwarya has to be there, some own reverence that He's the Lord. And then we have to have opulent offerings, and yes, paduka, and so jewelry, and so these things are there. But still, then of course the mood will be there that if one is properly engaged in devotional service, that he will see the Lord as the most dear object of his life, prananat. But in the temple, some own reverence has to be there. Because the worship in the temple is not only for us, but it is for all the people who are coming to the temple. And mostly then, many times they're newcomers and they have to learn first that Krishna is God and we are the servant of God. And they come in that mood, oh Bhagavan, pranam.
I read one quote of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said about the who is dressing
The
deities,
deities.
who is first very nice seva in service, first class service.
Mm.
And you are doing 36 years this.
Yeah. Hare Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada's
Biggest
mercy.
seva, Prabhupada said in this.
Biggest seva. Yeah.
Biggest seva is just decorating deities very nice.
And one can get Archan Siddhi. So Archan Siddhi means perfection. You can realize the Lord. And then it is also then Sarup Siddhi, realizing one's relationship with Krishna. Karma Smriti Charanaya means remembrance of the pastimes of the lotus feet of the Lord. So here, so karma, so that can refer to devotional service also. Charanaya is related to all the 6 items in the list and indicates the devotion of the speaker. Without these 6 types of service, some seva vinayati, how can a person attain bhakti? Vairagya and Jnana are not mentioned at all in this statement. Text 250. Yatha tatraiva tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogena mat atmanaha na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayashe bhavetyaha. Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge, impersonal, and renunciation is generally not a means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Text 251. Kintu jnana vairagya adi sadhyam bhaktiyaiva siddhyate. However, the goals of jnana and vairagya and other processes are achieved by bhakti alone. The goal of jnana is liberation. The goal of vairagya is jnana. They are indeed achieved by bhakti alone. So the goal of jnana is liberation. So by bhakti we can get real liberation. And the goal of vairagya is jnana. So by being detached, then automatically we will get knowledge also. But if one is too much attached to this world, then We may have some knowledge, theoretical, but it will not become realized, vigyan.
No question.
So therefore some jnana has to be acquired and some vairagya has to be there. Yes.
So with more practice, for example, if you're just focusing on bhakti and your natural way getting detached, more knowledge, are we getting also some siddhi, like which we are not aware of? Like for example, Buddhists, they are like studying a lot and automatically they're getting some siddhi. They are not like meditating on it, but they're just getting it with purification and knowledge. Are we?
Yeah, it is possible, yes, of course. A pure devotee, he has siddhis also. A pure devotee can be trikalagya. He knows past, present and future. Krishna is known as trikalagya, he knows everything. Past, present and future. The pure devotee can also be trikalagya. We know also past, present and future, whatever is required for his seva, he will know. So, and yes, pure devotee can do miracles also. Making lectures into bhaktas, that is a miracle, right? And so many examples are there also of devotees because of the bhakti, so they were doing amazing things. Rasigananda, disciple of Shamananda, a great devotee, pure devotee. And so South India, there are wild elephants also. So there was one wild elephant going around and he was like charging at Rasigananda, but he remained calm. He just put his hand up and then the elephant just came there and stopped in front of him. And he offered obeisances to Rasigananda. So then they're training the elephants. Of course, that even normal person can train the elephant to some extent, but the wild elephant, a trainer of the elephant, he cannot control the wild elephant. Even sometimes, like in Mayapur, maybe 1 year ago, the caretaker of an elephant got crushed by the elephant. So, the pure devotee, so he has some power. And he can Mukam karoti vachanam pangam langayate girim yakkivadam vadesi gurum dhirataranam. So by the mercy of Guru, so illiterate person, he can become a big orator. And he can climb the mountain. And so even if he can, so you will get transcendental knowledge. So the pure devotee, so he has power, and so he's giving blessings. So that may you live a long life, Ayusham Bhavatu. And then if he's giving blessings, then a person who's supposed to die maybe tomorrow, but if he's blessed by a pure devotee, he may live longer. So the pure devotees have some siddhis. Satyavak, whatever they see, that will happen. And whatever they say, that will happen. Or they have some desire in the mind, and that may become fulfilled very quickly by the mercy of the Lord. So in this way, so some siddhis are there, and even Jesus Christ, he had some siddhis, and he was pure devotee of the Lord. And he came to India actually also. And he was in Kashmir, he came to Vrindavan also, he was in Jagannath Puri. He went to Tibet, with the Tibetan monks, he was there actually, and he got some siddhis from there. Like, they are also well known for getting siddhis, as you know, right? The monks, Buddhist monks. The Tibetan monks means Buddhist monks. So Jesus Christ, he had some siddhis. He could walk on the water. And so the pure devotees also, they may get some siddhis, but they're not looking for it. And even if they got that, they will only use if it is favorable for the service of the Lord. But then sometimes others who get siddhi, then it becomes a kind of sense qualification. They have some siddhis and they will use, then it is a kind of subtle sense qualification. So therefore the pure devotees, they are not so much interested in CDs, but they are interested in pure devotional service. And the CDs are there, and they may use in Krishna Seva if needed, but they're not making a show of them. I have this CD, I have that CD. But some CDs will be there. So whatever they say, so that may happen. Satya Sankalpa also, when there's some desire, let there be a temple here, like Prabhupada, in different places. I wanted a temple, and then after some time we had a temple. So, sometimes some persons, they are looking, okay, Guru should have some CDs. And if he's not showing some CDs, then they look for somebody else. So with the pure devotees, so they are fully engaged in the service of the Lord. They can see Krishna, and so they will help the conditioned soul, so that they may engage in devotional service in advance, and even so they may attain perfection in due course of time. And that is the most wonderful thing. So Prabhupada used to say, even if I can make one pure devotee, my mission is successful. So, to make one pure devotee of the Lord, that's not so easy. So Prabhupada one time he was saying also, so his Western disciples, like coming here in Vrindavan in the beginning, were like, Prabhupada was saying, like white elephants, jumping here and there in the beginning, trying to ride the rickshaws and telling the rickshaw wanted to sit. So it should not be done. So things like this, so then Prabhupada had to kind of try to control them and advise them properly how to behave, sadachara. Because in the West, so of course, even there was some kind of culture sometimes when so the Christians or those who are God-fearing, they have a kind of culture. And human being has some morality should be there, some understanding of what to do and what not to do. But here in Bharatvarsha in India, it is more refined, it is more exalted. So the culture is more exalted, is most exalted, and is most close to the service of the Lord, the direct service of the Lord. Any more question?
Okay. I'm very busy. They are very close to just the worship of the Lord, because I mean there are so many drawbacks comparing to the Western country. Yes, we are not have this intention of offering.
In India?
Yeah, you're talking about this, not about the rest.
So what is your question?
You were talking about India as a country, and people here they have it's a almost perfect one.
No, the culture is more.
God-centered.
Yeah, it is more. It is more advanced.
What do you mean by this?
More advanced. That means the Vedic culture or the Vaishnava culture, especially.
Is it?
Because Krishna is more in the center, and there is direct service to the Lord and the proper understanding. Like you go in school. In school you have the primary school, secondary school, and then you have the high school. So those in the high school, they're more advanced than those in the primary class, there may be, of course there may be some bright boys in the primary school, but still they don't have so much knowledge.
But we are talking about just about God-centric cultures. That's it. We are not talking about the rest.
No.
Because how it is advanced?
No,
I
no.
mean, there is everything like
No, no, of
happening
course.
here. It's horrible.
You see, in
so how it is
India,
advanced?
you have the best and the worst.
Okay.
Yeah. So if Krishna is in the center, Vaishnava culture, Vedic culture, that is elevated. But those who are not following, that is then sometimes it becomes very degraded, and that we have, that we can see, practically speaking. So, and therefore, yeah, you can see, so for example, in the West they're more punctual, even many times they are more polite.
It's just clean there.
Yeah, it's more clean. Although they may not be so God conscious, but it is clean. And they're polite, like in Switzerland, it's very clean,
So
Switzerland.
why Vaishnava culture does not imply the cleanliness and politeness?
Oh, well, it's supposed to be, but because the thing is that they have deviated from the Vaishnava culture or Vedic culture. Because Vedic culture, Vaishnava culture means cleanliness should be there. That is equality, and Prabhupada used to say cleanliness and punctuality, that is important. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Even the saying is there in America. So and therefore Prabhupada wanted that the temple should be clean, everything should be clean, and we should be punctual. But because of persons losing the center, or not taking it so seriously, and because of the more material nature, the passion and ignorance is here also. In India, even in the Dham. So the Dham is actually pure, but there's a covering of the Dham, and the more material nature there. And now, for example, now it is more passionate than 45 years ago. When I came here, it was very peaceful. It was clean. There were no plastic bags. Because they didn't make plastic bags, there were no plastic bottles. So it was clean. You were not seeing garbage. Everything was clean. The water was clean, Jamuna water, and it was beautiful. The birds were there, many birds, and the peacocks. Not so many people around, no cars, no mobile, of course, and so it was more sattvic. But then due to influence of time, the mode of passion becomes very prominent, and that is the situation now. Mode of passion is very prominent here. So, but that is the covering of the Dham. The Dham is always transcendental, there is a covering, and the covering now is more in the mode of passion. So, even sometimes more than the West. Like you go to Switzerland, everywhere is peaceful and it's clean.
Exactly.
And fresh air. And fresh water, you can drink the water anywhere. So somehow, although God is not really in the center, but that means due to something pious they must have done, because even in Europe, for example, people that were more God conscious, like in Switzerland, even in Germany, many places, even most probably in Italy and Spain. In every town there is a church, and the church is the center of the town. In every town. Of course, but now hardly anyone is going to the church nowadays. But before, I used to go to the church at least every Sunday, because during the week we had to go to school, but then we have Bible class in the school once a week. So God was there in the center to some extent, but then degraded more and more. Same here also. Now people are not so much, even here in Vrindavan, and then the children go to school and they're watching movie, Hollywood, Bollywood films and songs are there, and Krishna is less in the center. Then Rajagun and Tamagun is more. And then people come from Delhi, and they're coming many times here just to picnic. And by the way, we'll take darshan and we pranam to Thakurji. But then they come here also just to have some fun, coming to play Holi here. But then Krishna is not so much in the center, and it becomes more rajasic. And then throwing Holi, and then they try to mix with others and pushing the girls or touching the girls. That is rajasic. tamasic. That is the situation now. But 50 years ago, 40 years ago, it was not like this. It was more sattvic. So there's some kind of degradation has come in Bharatvarsha, in India also. And even in the West, sometimes we hear, the Western culture is not good. But now there's no culture. But before there was a kind of culture also, and morality was more. But
Is
now
there?
there's less.
I
But
mean,
now again there's a change. Now many people
it's
are
safe
interested.
there, it's clean there.
Yeah, but now again in the West, many people are interested in yoga, young people, in meditation, and simple living, or high thinking, and being kind towards others. That mood is there. So the things are changing, like mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. It is there throughout the day. It is changing, and even the places, they have some changes. Sometimes it is in goodness, and then passion comes, and then ignorance, and then goodness may come again also. And so same in the West, so these things are there. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Mataji ne mangaya tha.
Huh? Oh, she was asking? Okay, for you.